Welcome to Everyday and Adventure. Today we've got the paint most of the way done on the International, so I'm going to be showing that to you guys. And I also have to do a spark plug change out, so we're going to get to that here in a minute. But first, let's do a quick walk around of the truck. So as you can see, all the Lagoon Blue paint on the cab is just about done. I've got like a couple little light spots that I need to touch up. And I went with black on the mirrors, black on the grille, black on the bed. The bed is Krylon truck bed coating. The grille is too. And the mirrors were that, and then I ran out, so I ended up using just Krylon matte black on top of it. I think the paint turned out pretty good. There's a little bit of tiger striping on the passenger side that I'm going to be working on at some point, but like I said before, this color change wasn't supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be a truck that I can beat on. Later, at some later point, I'll end up doing more of a complete like body work and paint and use real actually good paint. This paint's going to be thin and it's going to scratch off really easy, and there's a lot of problems with using spray cans, but the nice thing about it is if you brush up against some sagebrush and take some paint off, you can just buy a can at Walmart and respray it. It's not a big deal. On a bare metal car, you would absolutely want to use really good product, but on an already painted car that's in like okay shape but not something that you want to get to restoring right now but want the color changed, I don't mind using a rattle can here and there. So we're gonna get to doing that spark plug change. So like I said probably in my first video about this truck, I drove this truck a couple hundred miles to start with, and I had a bunch of problems. The problems that I was having was I was running out of fuel because my fuel filter was getting plugged up with all the rust and crap that was in the tanks. So right around the same time that I started taking the fire truck stuff off of the truck, I also filled the tanks with water and drove it around a bit on the can that I had, just a fuel hose dipped into a can that I had sitting on the passenger side step. I drove it around so that I could shake that water up and try and loosen up any of the rust that was in there. That seemed to work okay. It still needs a little bit of cleaning, so I'm just going to be burning through fuel filters. But so far, I took this truck on a shakedown yesterday out into the desert, and it performed just fine. It does have an occasional misfire here and there, and because I was running the truck so out of fuel so often on my initial trip with it, I'm sure that I've screwed up the spark plugs. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the spark plugs and put a set of AC Delco V45s in to replace the ones that are in there, and I'll go through and show you all that process on this truck. It's really not that big a deal. Everything's pretty exposed. But first off, okay, so first things first, we got to get the UTV out of the bed of this thing. So let's get after that. So now that we got that done, we can get to work. It's always a good idea when you drive a UTV off a really tall bed like this to make sure to remember to put your seatbelt on. Not like I ever care about it, other than in chances where like you might roll over. But you know, if you kick a ramp out, you're gonna roll it over. So good idea to put a seatbelt on when you're offloading or loading a UTV onto a really tall truck bed, and especially with crappy ramps like the ones I've got. I need to reskin one of these. That's why I've got plywood laid on top of it like that. Anyway, let's get after it. So it's always a good idea to have a plug gapping tool on hand. One of these, when I bought it, had the electrode or the grounding strap smashed all the way down to the electrode with no clearance at all. So for this engine, the 345 International, they're supposed to be gapped at 0.30. So these are gapped to about 0.33, and we're going to go ahead and start pulling the old ones out and putting the new ones in. Okay, so the socket I've got on there is a 13/16, just on a 3/8 ratchet with a little extension on it. We're just going to start breaking them loose. Now I usually do these one at a time, that way you don't have to remember where everything went. And that's how I'm going to do it today too. Okay, as you can see, the condition of these spark plugs isn't the greatest. Covered in rust and carbon. And then also, there's a very light spot on there. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but you can tell that it's been running a little lean on occasion. And these old ones are auto light plugs. And the ceramic is cracked on this one. So we're definitely going to be, definitely a good thing that we're replacing these. I'm just going to make sure there isn't a whole bunch of crud in the hole, and get this lined up and start threading her in. All right, so oh, that's good. Ratchet's a little bit crusty, so just really want to get the crush washer smushed down, and I think that's probably good. Put the wire back on it, make sure it feels like it's got a good contact. And if it doesn't, you can just squeeze it down a bit by hand or with a pair of pliers. And that feels pretty good. So now we're going to go for this one. Got this copper line in the way, so I'm going to bend that out very gently so I don't kink it, and start running this next one. Well, now that that's done, let's start her up and see if it sounds any better.